Supermarkets in Tobago are in fact experiencing food shortages due to the cargo issues being experienced on the sea bridge at this time. We got confirmation of this from several supermarket owners on the island who fear the situation will only get worse in the coming weeks if a better solution to the inter-island cargo challenge isn't found. Patricia Nicholson has the details.
Concerns about availability of food in Tobago are valid. This from several supermarket owners like Bill Brown, who owns the Jesus Christ is the Answer supermarket in Scarborough. He said basic commodities such as flour, rice, sugar and perishable food items are among the goods least available in Tobago now.
We are not playing that kind of game. Our policy is buy cheap and sell cheap, and we act on behalf of our customers. We negotiate prices and we pass it on to them.
He said the board of the Port Authority of Trinidad and Tobago is to be blamed for the challenges on the sea bridge. And he's convinced if the shoe was on the other foot, serious action would have already been taken to resolve the situation.
We in Tobago here, we take everything easily. And I always said if the shoe was on the other foot, if Trinidad depended on the ferries, it would not have been this way, because they would have really got up and voiced their disapproval. You know, but we are hoping that things are going to get better.
Mr. Brown said he's been operating his business for over 40 years and has these recommendations to solve the problem.
What I think it should have done was to create a little more efficiency from the management of the port, because they would have a history of those who would travel. And they could now say, well, look, let's schedule people now. Let's call them and tell them when they can travel. Or maybe when we load in flour or sugar or so. But we still have to compete with all the hardware items and so on. And everybody must live. You know, so I have no problem with that. But it's their responsibility now to show how efficient they are and to manage this thing well until things can be better.
Managing Director of Penny Savers Supermarket, the largest supermarket chain on the island, who spoke off camera, said because they have large warehouses that are fully stocked at this time, they're not yet experiencing the challenges like the smaller supermarkets. However, he said if the situation continues for another 2 to 3 weeks, then they'll be in some serious trouble. The manager of Coast Cutters Tobago, who also declined to speak on camera, echoed similar sentiments. I'm Patricia Nicholson for C News.
Meanwhile, Chairman of the Transportation Committee of the Chamber of Industry and Commerce Tobago Division, Diane Haddad, says the food shortages being experienced in Tobago now does not come as a surprise to her. Ms. Haddad says Tobago is now paying the ultimate price in this entire cargo ferry fiasco. Here's Patricia Nicholson once again with the details.
We are not surprised by what has happened because we had said that all of this would happen. So we have had 2 weeks where most of the shippers, truckers, business people cannot get a consistent supply of goods as they would have enjoyed in the past, and therefore you are having labor coming to work and you don't have anything for them to do.
Ms. Haddad, as she commented on the fact that goods are no longer coming to Tobago as often as they used to because of what she termed an inefficient cargo ferry service. Ms. Haddad said there's now a fight taking place among business owners to get their goods to Tobago as shipment is based on a first-come, first-served basis, and the Atlantic provider only holds 20 trucks as opposed to 120, which the superfast Glacier used to carry.
Animosity amongst the truckers down at the port, both in Trinidad and Tobago. People who lived very happily before are now rushing each other to get on the boat, abusing each other verbally. Hopefully we don't get physical. We have a couple small truck accidents where people would have grazed each other or bounced the mirrors in order to pass one another. So we have quite an upsetting and unsettled situation.
She said the Atlantic provider and the barge cannot do the job for Tobago. She said it must also be noted that truckers aren't allowed aboard the Atlantic provider and therefore have to find alternative means of getting to Tobago in time for when the cargo vessels dock so they can take their trucks off.
Nobody listened, nobody understood, or maybe they just didn't care. Which one of the three? Tobago pays the price for it.
Mr. Dodd said the chamber spoke on the issue many months ago, but it seems as though no one listened. I'm Patricia Nicholson for C News.
An assurance from Minister of Works and Transport Rohan Sinanan that the Port Authority is working swiftly to iron out the problems on the sea bridge. In response to a question in the Parliament on Thursday, Minister Sinanan said they could have a solution by Monday.
Tomorrow, Friday, the Port Authority Board will be meeting with all the truckers to address all the issues related to the transport of cargo to Tobago. The management of the port, as we speak, are evaluating all the proposals that have been put to them for the replacement of the cargo vessels, and by Monday they would make a recommendation to the board, which will then make a recommendation to the ministry.
And he said from today the Port Authority will give priority to foodstuff being sent to Tobago.
Going forward, the Port Authority will ensure that stringent management methods are put in place to ensure that all foodstuff that has to go to Tobago will get priority at this time.